It was supposed to be a simple day, calm and quiet. Emma had planned to spend the afternoon alone by the pool behind her small California house. The week had been long meetings, emails, calls that went nowhere, and long evenings waiting for a message from her boyfriend, who lived in another city. Nothing had come. She had told herself it didn't bother her, but it did. That's why she was there now, trying to let the sunlight wash away the noise in her head. The pool shimmered, blue and still. She sat at the edge, her legs dipped in the warm water, sunglasses hiding tired eyes, her hair tied in a loose bun that the breeze kept tugging at. For a while, there was peace. The sound of water, the faint hum of birds, and the gentle creak of the trees behind the fence. She closed her eyes, feeling her body relax. But then, the sound of the front gate broke the calm. A soft click, then a squeak. Her eyes opened quickly. No one was supposed to come. For a moment she thought it might be a delivery or a mistake. Then she heard a familiar voice. "Hey, stranger." Emma froze, heart skipping. She knew that voice. Slowly she turned, and there he was, Liam Carter, her neighbor from 2 houses down. He stood there in a plain grey t-shirt, shorts, a towel over his shoulder, a half-smile on his face that somehow made him look both confident and unsure. His brown hair was messy, his eyes warm and curious. She hadn't seen him properly in months, though they used to talk often. A few casual chats by the mailboxes had turned into late-night talks about life, work, dreams, until Emma had pulled away. She didn't want to feel anything that might complicate her life, especially when she already had someone. "Didn't think anyone was using the pool today," Liam said, stepping closer, his tone easy, as if it was the most natural thing in the world to walk into her yard. Emma blinked, unsure what to say. "You're fine," she managed, her voice calm though her pulse wasn't. "It's a big pool." He smiled, his eyes softening. "Guess I'll take that as an invitation." She wanted to tell him no, to say she needed the space, but she didn't. Something in his smile disarmed her. He sat at the edge of the pool a few feet away from her, dipping his feet into the water. For a moment, silence hung between them. The air felt warmer. The faint scent of sunscreen and jasmine floated around them. Emma tried to focus on the water, watching the small ripples move in circles. "So," she said quietly, "how have you been?" Liam shrugged lightly. "Busy. Work's the same. My sister visited last week. She says I need to get out more." He smiled faintly. "Guess I'm trying." Emma laughed softly. "By breaking into my backyard?" "Hey," he said, grinning. The gate was open. I took that as a sign. Their laughter eased the air between them, but underneath, something else lingered, a quiet awareness that hadn't been there before. Or maybe had always been there, and was now impossible to ignore as minutes passed. Their conversation moved like a calm river. They talked about small things. How fast summer came this year, how quiet the neighborhood had become, how people seemed busier but lonelier these days. Liam spoke with ease, but his eyes often drifted to her face, watching her expressions like he was trying to memorize them. Emma noticed and looked away every time, pretending not to. She told herself it was harmless, that this was just 2 neighbors talking, that nothing about this afternoon would matter. But it already did. There was a comfort in his presence she hadn't felt in months. No pressure, no need to perform, just the simple warmth of someone who saw her. The sunlight reflected on the water, painting small gold patches on their skin. A breeze passed, carrying the faint scent of rain, even though the sky was still bright. Liam leaned back on his hands, looking up. "Feels like it might rain later," he said. Emma followed his gaze. "Maybe, I don't mind." He turned his head toward her, smiling softly. You never did. You always liked the rain, didn't you? She paused, surprised he remembered. Yeah, I still do. The sound of his voice, the way he said it all felt too easy, too familiar. She tried to shake the feeling off, but it lingered like a soft echo inside her. For a few quiet moments they didn't speak. The only sound was the gentle splash of water as Emma kicked her feet, watching ripples spread and fade. Liam glanced at her again. She could feel it, even without looking. Hey, he said finally, his tone lighter. You look different. Happier, maybe? Emma turned her head, smiling a little. Do I? He nodded, his expression unreadable. Yeah, but maybe it's just the sun. His words hung in the air. She didn't answer, didn't know how. She wasn't happier. She was lonely, actually. But something about the way he said it made her wish it were true. A soft gust of wind blew across the pool, and her hair fell loose around her face. Without thinking, Liam reached out, brushing a strand from her cheek. The touch was brief, light, almost accidental, but it sent a small wave through her chest. She looked at him quickly, their eyes meeting for a second too long. He pulled his hand back and smiled, a little embarrassed. Sorry, he said quietly. It's okay, she replied. And it was. More than okay, maybe. A bird flew over them, landing on the fence, chirping loudly, as if to break the tension. Emma laughed softly, and Liam joined her. The moment passed, but its echo stayed. They sat there until the shadows began to stretch, the sun dipping lower in the sky. Emma hadn't realized how long they'd been talking until her phone buzzed on the table behind her. She turned and saw her boyfriend's name flash across the screen. One message. Just one line. Busy again. Call later. Her smile faded slightly. Liam noticed the change but didn't ask. Instead, he looked at the water and said, I should go. Emma nodded slowly. Thanks for stopping by, she said, though she wasn't sure if she meant it as thanks or something else. He stood, towel over his shoulder again. Any time, he said softly. Then, after a pause, you deserve to relax, Emma. Don't forget that. When he left through the gate, she sat back down by the pool, staring at the rippling reflection of the fading sky. Her chest felt heavy and light all at once. She wasn't sure why. Maybe it was his voice. Maybe the quiet kindness in his eyes. Or maybe it was because, for the first time in a long while, she felt something shift inside her. It had been just another afternoon by the pool. Nothing planned. Nothing expected. But somehow, it didn't feel like just another day anymore. Something about him, had changed the air around her. The water glimmered softly. The breeze cooled her skin. And Emma sat there alone again. Knowing the peace she'd come looking for had turned into something entirely different. Something she couldn't name yet, but wouldn't forget. The next afternoon was bright and still, the kind of day that made the world look softer. Emma didn't expect to see Liam again, but when she stepped outside with her book and iced tea, he was already there by the pool, sitting on the edge with his feet in the water. He looked up, smiling in that easy way he had, as if yesterday's quiet tension hadn't existed. Morning, he said. Emma raised an eyebrow, hiding a small smile. You've made yourself at home, I see. Guilty, he said with a shrug. You have the best pool in the neighborhood. She laughed and sat down across from him, pretending to be annoyed but not really meaning it. The air between them was lighter than yesterday, yet there was something underneath it. Something neither dared to name. They started talking again, about simple things. Liam told her about his job at the design firm. The clients who never made up their minds, the long hours. Emma shared stories about her new project, her small struggles, and her attempts to enjoy the little things like reading again, or learning to cook something new every weekend. Their conversation flowed easily, like they'd known each other for years instead of just being neighbors. At times, they went quiet. But even the silence felt comfortable. The sound of water moving gently around them filled the pauses, giving space for thoughts neither spoke aloud. Liam leaned back on his hands and squinted at the sky. "Do you ever feel," he said slowly, "like life just pauses? Like you're waiting for something, but you don't know what it is?" Emma looked at him, surprised by the question. "Every day," she admitted quietly. He turned to her, his eyes meeting hers with a strange mix of understanding and longing. "Yeah," he said, almost to himself. "I figured you might." She didn't know what to say. The way he looked at her made her heart beat faster, not because of romance exactly, but because he seemed to see right through her walls. To change the mood, she splashed a little water in his direction. "You think too much, Liam." He laughed, shaking his head. "Maybe, but I think you do too." The moment felt playful, but beneath it, something warm stirred. The sunlight caught on the surface of the pool, reflecting patterns onto their faces. Emma noticed the small details she hadn't before: the curve of his jaw when he smiled, the faint freckles on his arms, the calm way he spoke even when saying very little. For the first time in months, she wasn't thinking about her phone or the silence from her boyfriend. She was here in this moment, listening to the sound of Liam's laughter and the water gently moving around them. A small cloud drifted across the sun, softening the light. The wind shifted, carrying the faint scent of jasmine from her garden. Liam looked up at the sky. "Looks like rain," he said. Emma smiled. "You said that yesterday." "Yeah," he replied, glancing at her. "But this time, I might be right." As if on cue, a single drop of rain hit the water. Then another. Emma laughed, looking up. "Yes, you are." They didn't move. The soft drizzle felt cool against their skin, mixing with the warmth of the afternoon. It was peaceful, almost too perfect. Liam watched her, his eyes calm but searching. "You ever think maybe the best moments are the ones that just happen?" he asked. Emma met his gaze, her smile fading slightly. "Maybe," she said softly, "but they never last." He nodded, understanding what she meant even without her explaining. The rain began to fall harder, breaking the surface of the pool in tiny ripples. "Come on," he said, standing up and offering her a hand. "Let's get inside before the storm decides to test us." She hesitated, staring at his hand for a second before taking it. His grip was firm, warm, familiar. As they hurried under the porch, both laughing at the sudden downpour, Emma felt something shift deep inside her. It wasn't love, not yet, but it was something real. Something that made her realize how long it had been since she truly felt seen. They stood there for a moment, dripping and smiling, listening to the rain. Neither said much, but the silence between them spoke more than words could. Emma looked at him, her heart strangely calm. This wasn't what she had planned for her quiet day. But maybe that was the point. Maybe the best things in life never fit into plans. The rain kept falling, gentle and steady, as the world outside blurred into a soft haze, and somewhere in that quiet, something began to change between them. The rain came down harder, covering the sound of everything else. Emma and Liam stood on the porch, water dripping from their hair, their clothes clinging to them. They were both laughing, breathless from running, but when the laughter faded, silence filled the space between them, again gentle but heavy. The storm wasn't wild. It was soft, steady, like the world had slowed just for them. Liam looked out at the pool, where raindrops broke the smooth surface. "I always liked the rain," he said quietly. "Makes everything feel cleaner." Emma nodded. "It washes things away." Her voice trailed off, and for a moment, she wasn't talking about the weather. He glanced at her, his expression thoughtful. "What is it you're trying to wash away, Emma?" She hesitated, then smiled faintly. "Maybe too many things to list." He didn't press further. They just stood there, side by side, the rain forming a soft curtain around them. It wasn't uncomfortable, it was peaceful. She could feel the warmth of him beside her, even without touching Dot after a few minutes. Liam sat down on the porch steps, still watching the rain. "You know," he said, "when I moved here, I didn't really talk to anyone. You were the first person who said more than just hi." Emma smiled, sitting down next to him. "I remember that. You looked so lost that day." "I was," he admitted. "Still am sometimes." She looked at him then, really looked at his tired eyes, the soft sadness behind his smile. She understood it more than she wanted to. "We all are," she said softly. The rain slowed a little, turning into a light drizzle. Drops slid down the edge of the roof, landing in puddles that shimmered in the fading light. It was quiet except for the rhythm of water hitting the ground. Liam turned slightly toward her. "You ever think about leaving?" he asked. "Just packing a bag and driving until you find something new?" She thought about it, then nodded slowly. "Yes, but I never do. Maybe I'm afraid I won't find what I'm looking for." He smiled faintly. "Maybe you already found it, and you just don't see it yet." Her heart tightened at his words. He wasn't flirting. He wasn't trying to impress her. He meant it. There was a kind of honesty in his tone that made her chest ache. For a moment, she wanted to tell him everything about how lonely she'd been, about how her relationship felt like a fading photograph, about how she missed feeling alive. But she didn't. Instead, she just said, "You shouldn't say things like that." "Why not?" he asked, still calm. "Because they make it hard to breathe," she said quietly. He didn't respond, only watched her with soft eyes that said more than any words could. Then he stood and stepped closer, his voice low but steady. "You don't have to say anything," he said. "I just needed you to know how I feel." Emma's breath caught. She didn't move, didn't step back, but she didn't step forward either. She looked at him, her heart racing, unsure of what to do. The rain began to ease, the light breaking through the clouds, soft and golden. For a long second they stood there, caught in something that wasn't quite love, but wasn't nothing either. It was the kind of feeling that made the world blur and your heart remember what it means to feel alive. Liam finally smiled, small, almost sad. "You should go inside," he said gently. "You'll catch a cold." Emma nodded, though she barely heard him. She turned toward the door, but before stepping in, she looked back once more. He was still there, standing under the rain, watching the sky like a man trying to find peace in the storm. She wanted to say something, anything, but no words came. Instead, she gave him a small smile, one filled with things she couldn't say aloud. Then she went inside, closing the door softly behind her. Inside, the world was quiet except for the faint sound of rain fading away. She leaned against the wall, eyes closed, heart unsteady. It wasn't supposed to mean anything. It wasn't supposed to feel like this. But somehow, a quiet afternoon by the pool had turned into something she couldn't forget. Something that had already changed her. Even if she didn't yet understand how the next morning came bright and calm, as if the storm had never happened. The sunlight poured through Emma's kitchen window, touching the floor in warm stripes. She stood by the counter with a cup of coffee, still thinking about the night before the rain, Liam's quiet words, the way her heart had raced when he looked at her. Everything felt both real and distant, like a dream she couldn't shake off. She told herself it didn't mean anything. It was just a moment, a strange mix of timing and emotion. But the truth was, it had left something behind, an ache she didn't know how to name. She looked outside at the pool, now calm and shining under the morning sun. It looked exactly as it had yesterday, yet it felt different, like the place now held a memory only she could see. Her phone buzzed on the table. A message from her boyfriend. "Sorry I missed your call. Things are busy here. Talk soon." She read it twice, then set the phone down without replying. There was no anger, no sadness, just a quiet realization that something had changed in her. The sound of barking drew her attention. Through the window, she saw Liam walking his dog along the fence. He looked relaxed, one hand in his pocket, the other holding the leash. Their eyes met for just a second, and in that look, everything that needed to be said passed between them. Acknowledgement, warmth, and a touch of sadness. Neither smiled, but both understood. Emma took a slow breath and stepped outside, not to talk to him, but to feel the morning air. It was fresh, carrying the faint smell of wet grass and chlorine. She sat at the edge of the pool, dipping her feet into the cool water just like before. But this time, her thoughts weren't scattered. She knew what she felt. It wasn't love, but it was close. It was the spark of something honest, something she hadn't allowed herself to feel in a long time. She thought about Liam's words. Maybe you already found it, and you just don't see it yet. At the time, she hadn't understood. Now she did. He wasn't talking about himself. He was talking about life. About the moments that remind you who you are, even when you're lost. A gentle wind moved through the trees, brushing her hair across her face. She smiled to herself, small but real. For the first time in months, she felt awake. Not because someone made her feel special, but because she had finally stopped pretending everything was fine. Across the yard, Liam paused for a second, watching her from a distance. When she looked up, he waved simple, friendly, without expectation. She waved back, and that was enough. They didn't need words or promises. What they shared was quiet understanding, the kind that didn't need to turn into anything more to matter. After he left, Emma stayed outside, finishing her coffee and watching the sunlight move across the pool. The world felt light again, as if the storm had washed away more than just rain. It had cleared her heart too. Later that day, she picked up her phone and opened a new message. "Hey," she typed to her boyfriend, "I think we need to talk." Then she set the phone down, not waiting for a reply. The decision wasn't dramatic. It was calm, certain. The day went on peacefully. Birds sang, the pool glimmered, and somewhere in the distance, Liam's laughter echoed faintly through the neighborhood. Emma smiled, not because she expected something from him, but because she finally felt free enough to hope again. It had started as just a relaxing day by the pool. No plans, no expectations. But sometimes, the quietest days bring the loudest changes. And in that stillness, under the soft California sun, Emma realized that even the smallest moments can change the direction of a heart forever.